So, you like how this place looks? Well, good, because we're about to kind of scale up it. Now, not out here, but rather in the next dungeon we're doing. This is one of those dungeons where we get to kind of be in an area that's like part of the outside world, but in an instance version of it. And boy, oh boy, is this one that a lot of people decided they did not want to do or like. Welcome to the Oculus. So, this one has a rather infamous history to it. Now, I think I'm supposed to get a... Yeah, there we go. Aragos and his underlings grow stronger in power with each passing day, and now our latest assault team has been captured and is being held in the Oculus. We must attempt a rescue. Belgaristraz and his companions are invaluable to our cause. So, first off, let me go ahead and read the dungeon description here. In order to reestablish his dominance over magic, the blue dragon aspect Aragos has launched a ruthless campaign to sever the link between mortals and the arcane energies coursing through Azeroth. To this end, his blue dragonflight is redirecting the ley lines of the world to the Nexus, Aragos' towering lair. So, I'll talk about the story and the lore of what's going on here and why this is relevant to other stuff that we would have been doing in both the Borean Tundra as well as the Dragonblight zones, which leads into this. By the way, I guess I'll go ahead and kill the first mob here early, since apparently that's a problem for some people. And I'm referring to those who had a problem with me waiting so long to kill the first mob before, while I was actually talking. So, let me just go ahead and re-say this real quick before we continue. If you're here to just simply watch me one-shot everything and not talk about this dungeon and what's going on in the lore and the story, which is what I want to share with people, you're here for the wrong reasons or you're at the wrong channel. Because I'm going to do this. If you have a problem with it, you don't have to watch. You can leave. It would be... Because I could do that. I could walk through here, speed run through everything, and just, bam, just one-shot everything in here. That's the easy part. The part I actually want to do is to actually try and share about why we are doing this, about what's going on, because so many people apparently don't. Because, yeah, there are those who... Even someone commented on my Utgard Keep video earlier today, saying that when they played back then, they never really paid attention to the storylines or the questing or anything, because they were just playing the game and doing stuff with friends. They never were paying attention. But they actually like that I am doing it like this in a kind of, I think they said it was a book-to-tape version. Which, if you're saying that I'm basically providing an audiobook version of the story and lore of what's going on here, I'm fine with that. If you want to go ahead and, call it that and accept that, that's totally cool. I'm fine with doing that. I have literally read some stuff out loud as if it was an audiobook on this channel. So, so anyways, I just had to get that off my chest because it was a little annoying and irritating to see some of those comments like that. And I'm like, what are you guys expecting me to do? Just simply be quiet and go through here and just annihilate everything as if it doesn't matter? That's not the point of this series, of these videos. Like, why would you want to see me do that on this old content? Just because it's in classic and relevant right now. Anyways, I had to get that off my chest. Sorry if that irritated some people, but anyways, I just had to bring it up because I'm noticing it not just in the comments, but also in the apparent amount of dislikes that video in particular got, which I'm shocked that it even is getting that much attention and that many views. I don't know why, but apparently YouTube decided to recommend it to people. So anyways. So in regards to this dungeon and it's rather infamy amongst players. So for those of you who may not remember, Group Finder, well, technically there was a first iteration of it back in Burning Crusade, but it wasn't really officially introduced until Wrath. And boy, oh boy, did that cause quite a ruckus and uproar, because my goodness. Just the issues of people being, say, DPS mains, and having tanks that, or healers that did not know what to do or how to do things. For tank mains, it was apparently great. Like, Preach Gaming said that as a tank main back then, he thought it was great. But his guild chat, which had a number of DPS mains, were having so much frustrations with it. Now, I bring that up because this is one of those dungeons that also had a different aspect to it. Not necessarily the tank DPS thing, but something else that was really becoming relevant in Wrath. Now, it's worth noting that vehicle combat, vehicle gameplay, was not introduced in Wrath. It was actually back in Vanilla. How many of you guys remember Razor Gore back in Blackwing Lair? How many of you remember the Terran Gorfiend fight in the Black Temple in Burning Crusade? They just got more... How do I want to say this? Blizzard really wanted to really try and push what they could do with that tech in Wrath, because it was all over the place. Wintergrasp, Ulduar, this dungeon, the Malagos raid we do after this dungeon. It was throughout Wrath, the vehicle gameplay. And I bring that up because this is one of those dungeons that has that. And because there's this thing that apparently a lot of players just either don't like it, or they can't do it, or they don't get it, or understand it, they have this instinction that they just want to not deal with it at all. So this was a dungeon that people would get put into when doing LFG, and then they would leave. Because they didn't want to do this dungeon. Because they didn't want to do the vehicle gameplay they get in this. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you in a moment. But we go through that first initial trash, which is just all those little azure drakes and eggs and such. And then we encounter Dracos, the Interrogator. To those who have broken Malagos' law may find themselves under the claws of Dracos. After securing Carriastraza and the Nexus, Dracos returned to the Oculus to collect his newer prisoners, other Drakes who ran afoul of Malagos. He makes no claims of rehabilitation, and he uses no metaphors. His prisoners are here to be punished, and there is no escape.
The prisoners shall not go free. The word of Malagos is law.
So you notice those getting shot out?
I will crush you.
So he teleports all players to him. He periodically summons those spears, which will explode after 20 seconds, inflicting arcane damage within 12 yards, and he will stomp the ground and knocking them up into the air, doing physical damage. So it's a pretty simple fight, but I can imagine it was a little annoying while constantly being pulled around back to him and having these arcane explosions constantly going around. Yeah.
Intruders, your victory will be short-lived. I am Commander Varos Cloudstrider. My drakes control the skies and protect this conduit. I will see to it personally that the Oculus does not fall into your hands.
That's why, so I held off on reading this just so we could hear that. But when we released them, they, this guy says, "Thank you for freeing us, mortals. Beware, the blue flight is alerted to your presence. Even now, Malagos sends Varos Cloudstrider and his ring guardians to defend the Oculus. You will need our help to stand a chance." So this is where the vehicle aspect comes into play.
How are you?
Malagos' most powerful agents protect the rings above. Alone, you cannot hope to defeat them. We can grant you power to call upon drakes from our dragon flights. Mounted on the back of a drake, you will be able to fly here in the Oculus and command powerful dragon magic.
Safe travels. Have a good one.
From here, it will take our combined efforts to proceed. Above us, Varos hides behind an impenetrable shield. To reach him, you must defeat the centrifuge constructs that power his shield. You can see at the top it shows that there are 10 of them. We can each provide you with drakes from our respective flights to help you reveal him.
See you around.
So then you get a choice. There are 3 flights you can choose. And I'm going to try and see if I can actually show this off to you guys, because I think I can actually switch which ones. So, time is running out. I can grant you the power to call upon a drake from the bronze flight. Speak to Belgarastras or Verdicia if you prefer to draw on the power of red or green. Well, what abilities do the bronze drakes have? Amber drakes excel at dealing damage by manipulating time to their advantage. Using Shock Lance, they can disrupt the flow of time around an enemy target, instantly damaging it. The power of this effect is dramatically increased by shock charges on the target. When threatened, an Amber Drake can briefly stop the flow of time for its enemies. This time disruption stores a large amount of shock energy on affected targets in the form of shock charges.
You have a great day now.
You need something?
So what abilities do the Ruby Drakes have? Ruby Drakes excel at mitigating damage and protecting their allies. Upon using Searing Wrath, they can breathe streams of liquid fire that jump from target to target, dealing increased damage with each jump. Whenever a Ruby Drake is damaged by an enemy attack, it gains an evasive charge. These charges can be used to perform a series of evasive maneuvers, allowing the Drake to dodge incoming attacks and spells for a time.
See you later.
I am listening.
So what abilities do the Emerald Drakes have? Emerald Drakes excel at healing themselves while poisoning their enemies. Using Leeching Poison, they can steal health from their enemies. Repeated applications of this poison can increase the effect. With Touch the Nightmare, Emerald Drakes can reach into the dream, converting a portion of their life energy into a highly damaging attack that leaves the target weakened, reducing its damage for a short time.
Farewell.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the green dragon. So we then get this. And you can call upon it and hop on board. So then we get this. Now this, of course, is what I was referring to. This is the aspect, no pun intended, because dragons, that a lot of players just simply... Welcome, friend. Keep your head down and hold on tight. Use Leeching Poison to damage enemies and keep me healed. Touch the Nightmare is very powerful, but it does hurt me, so only use it when I have a lot of health. So, yeah. I think it's also scaled for me at max level. Anyways, this is what I was talking about. Players... Now, I'm not going to be as harsh about this as Preach Gaming was, because Preach Gaming has really been harsh towards players that he said they could not handle doing a vehicle with just 2 to 3 buttons. They couldn't handle it because they kept on messing it up and kept on doing it wrong, because apparently when they get into this interface here, they don't know what to do or don't know how to do it and they fail at it. Now, he was specifically referring to the Terran Gorfine fight in the Black Temple, but he did make a point of saying that this was the kind of thing that made players just kind of like... It seemed like they just couldn't be able to do this for some reason. And it's like, you know, it really... I don't know. I think some people get really focused on their own specific interfaces that when they get to this and it kind of throws them off and messes things up, they don't know, like, it kind of messes them up and throws them off, I guess. I just don't personally, and get what the big deal is. It's like, okay, just take a moment to look at what the abilities do, and then you're like, okay, I get it now, and then you can be able to just simply fly around and just kind of like have some fun with it. Like, it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal to me, honestly, So as you can see, even though that did take a portion of my Drake's health, it is also, I think, getting some health back. Plus, I'm also one-shotting these things. So now we do have to go ahead and dismount off here to be able to deal with these. But then we can just go ahead and hop back on. So this is why it's like, okay, I'll just go ahead and put this here for now. And then I can just... Whee! And so then this is basically what you're doing for this portion of the, for the rest of the dungeon, is just hopping on your Drake and flying around, trying to take out as many of these constructs as you can, mainly at least 10, just so you can be able to then progress through the dungeon. And it's just funny to me that apparently a lot of players just simply have this problem where they just didn't want to do this. It was just a problem for them, to the point where if they got this when they queued for a random dungeon, they would just immediately leave. Like, I've heard some people talk about how they think that this is a absolutely horrible, terrible dungeon, that they just can't stand it. I'm just like,
It's too far
I just
away.
don't get it. Why? It's never been a dungeon that's bothered me. I actually like this whole thing, this really cool idea. By the way, once you choose your Drake, you're not stuck to it. You can just go back to this platform here, and you know what you can do? You can hop off, and you can pick a different one.
Hello.
It's like, I want to exchange for
Safe
Ruby.
travels.
So then you get rid of that, and you can get the Ruby one. And there you go. So you can actually go ahead and experiment and try them out while you're doing this dungeon. So now we get Evasive Aura. And we get Evasive Maneuvers. And we get Searing Wrath. Which, let's see how that looks. Now again, this is that one that's supposed to just, bounce. Like the idea that it's constantly bouncing, and if, it bounces to a lot of enemies,
I need to get
the more
closer.
bounces it does, the more damage it does. It kind of reminds me of the Venthyr ability that the Enhancement Shamans got in Shadowlands, which was really cool and really fun. I loved that ability. As someone who had my Shaman join the Venthyr just for that specific ability, I thought it was really cool. And I'm really sad that it hasn't come back. Oh, they brought back Primordial Wave from the Necrolord, sure, but not, the one I actually really liked. But anyways. So yeah, that is the red Drake. So now let me go ahead and show you the bronze Drake. So now we have Shock Lance. And we have Stop Time. Which has a 60-second cooldown. So if you pull a lot of these dragons, this trash, you can have somebody do boom, stop time, and it just can make all the trash freeze in place for 10 seconds while you try to focus on DPSing them down. And I guess this is why a lot of people didn't like this, because maybe they just hated how it worked, that they had to coordinate in terms of who got what dragon, and like trying to manage the health of their drakes, and I'm not necessarily trying to throw too much shade at people for this, because I feel like other people like Preach Gaming does more than enough of that instead. But yeah. But let's go ahead and hop back on the green one. I like the green one. Plus, this is one of the of these three drakes. This is the one I actually don't have yet. So recently, I got the Blazing Drake that you get from Dragon Soul. I got it from doing Time Walking Firelands for Ragnaros. Which means all I have to do now is get the Nether Drake from Burning Crusade, and I can get my Green Emerald Drake for the Awake the Drake's achievement. Alright, so now all 10 of those constructs are down, which means we can then move on to the next boss, because now his shield is down, and that, of course, is Varos Cloudstrider. Varos Cloudstrider has coordinated brutal attacks against the Wormrest Accord since the beginning of the Nexus War. He was recalled to guard the Oculus. Hold on. Of course, they're barely hurting my Drake because it's scaled with me. That's fantastic. And he has already prepared his captains and drakes. Varos has also tapped the power coursing through the Oculus itself to bolster his defense. So, he will call an Azure Ring Captain that does an Arcane Beam. He energizes a portion of the platform, inflicting arcane damage. to all players that are in that section of the platform, and he marks a player that increases their damage and healing received from spells for 30 seconds. Which is kind of fun when you think about it. It's like, he'll put that on them, and they'll take more healing, but they're also going to take more damage.
There will be no mercy.
Let's see if I can show off his fight a little bit here. So you can see he's going to be calling the captain in. I assume he's going to put the thing on me to have me take more damage. I guess that's how you can tell the section of the platform you're supposed to avoid, because you'll take more damage.
Prisoners, attack!
So there's the captain, which is doing an arcane beam on me. Run! Run! So it looks like he's not casting Amplify Magic on me. I guess for some reason he can't do that when we are soloing this. So.
Blast them! Destroy them!
So yeah, he'll just keep spawning the captains.
Too strong! Underestimated their
It's too far away.
fortitude.
Oh, never mind. The trickster Mage Lord Uram protects the third ring. He'll appear alone and defenseless, but do not be fooled by appearances. Uram is a powerful conjurer who commands a menagerie of phantasmal creatures. Seek him out above. It is as I hoped, Goblin. We work well together. May our continued cooperation be enough to overcome the challenges that yet await. Only one obstacle stands between us and our ultimate goal here. His name is Uram. He guards the third ring above us. Beware his powerful conjurings, friend. Bring him down. Make him pay for his treacherous allegiance to the enemy. By the way, in case I didn't state, the reason why we are doing this is because we are trying to open up the way to where Malagos is hiding. We're basically trying to open up the doorway to the raid where we take on Malagos, because he's gone into the Nexus here, into his lair, and he's basically locked himself inside. The way we get access to the door to get inside is by basically doing this dungeon to take down the final boss here, the Lay Guardian Aragos, in order to get access. Now, I'll explain what we then have to do afterwards, because we may get access to the door, but that doesn't mean we are able to open the door, at least not yet. We'll actually need to get a key, and I'll explain how that happens afterwards. So then we go up. At least I think we now go up. I'm trying to remember where exactly this guy is. There are these platforms here where you have to go through and... I think... Okay, so yeah. I think this is one of those mirror images, because Uram is one of those where it's like, oh, okay. So I'm pretty sure this is a mirror image, not the final one, but I'll go ahead and read his lore in just a moment here. Plus, he's actually voiced by someone that you'll hear his voice quite often in this game. Uram has abandoned the Kirin Tor and pledged his loyalty to Malagos, who was more than happy to receive him. The Turncoat Mage is an invaluable asset for the Blue Dragons. He knows the Kirin Tor's strengths and weaknesses. He knows how they think, and he will use that knowledge to destroy them.
What do we have here? Those that would defy the Spellweaver? Those without foresight or understanding? How can I make you see? Malagos is saving the world from itself! Bah! You are hardly worth my time!
I love that he is trying to actually convince us that what they're doing is right. Malagos is trying to save the world from itself! Keep in mind, Malagos is trying to literally shatter the world. As in destroy the world. He's trying to save the world by destroying it! Can't you see that? Do you not understand? I just love that. I want to give a shout out to this voice actor, because I've heard him in this game many times. I heard him and I was like, I recognize that voice, but I actually forget his name. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and look up this guy's name because I want to make sure I give him a shout out and some credit as a voice actor. You guys know how much I love to endorse good voice actors, right? Okay, hold on a second. So this guy has also voiced... I remember hearing him at least twice in Dungeons and Battle for Azeroth. He was the voice of Brother Ironhall, this guy. He was also the voice of Captain Raoul. Alright, so let me check and see if I can actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and look up that specifically. R-A-O-U-L, voice actor. Patrick Seitz. David Patrick Seitz. That's who that is. This guy, I have heard him do a lot. I'm actually curious about his, Hold on, let me, At least I think that's him. Hold on, let me, see if I can pull up his, his IMDb here. Just so we can get some reference as to the actor that we're listening to here. Gosh, get that stuff off my screen. Just let me look at his biography, you know, his resume here. Let me just go ahead and see that, please. Okay. So obviously IMDb starts with more recent stuff. So, he's done a number of creatures in Diablo 4. That's some recent stuff for Blizzard he's done. In Dragonflight, he was Aranog and Forge Master Gorek. In fact, hold on a second. Let me just go ahead and double confirm this because I think I know who else this is, if my suspicion is correct. Because I was like, I know that name. Okay, let me get to BFA, just to confirm that is who I think it is, because I know it's the voice of that Captain Raoul here. Okay, maybe it's not Patrick Seitz. Because it's saying it's Bryson. I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't seem right. Is it Patrick Seitz? Because here's the thing, Patrick Seitz is also the voice of Garrosh. Is it Scott McNeil? These are the names that are coming up when I searched up Captain Raoul's voice actor. And I'm like, hold on a second. Alright, I'm not gonna waste your time, because I know you guys are sitting there waiting for me to continue. And I probably should have done this ahead of time. I do apologize, but I didn't actually think about it beforehand. If this is, in fact, Patrick Seitz, who is also the voice of Garrosh, wow, that guy has got some range. Because could you ever hear this voice and think that's Garrosh?
Clearly my pets failed. Perhaps another demonstration is in.
So yeah, he'll summon these phantasmal images to fight us. And we have to hop around from platform to platform here, chasing him till we get to our final fight with him.
Still you fight. Still you cling to misguided principles. If you survive, you'll find me in the center ring.
Alright, so now we get our actual fight with this guy. So, he has Empowered Arcane Explosion, which... Yeah, it just says Deadly Wave. It doesn't even give, what the damage amount is. It just says Deadly Wave. So, he's also got Frost Bomb, that inflicts frost damage and freezes the ground. And he has Time Bomb, which will explode, inflicting arcane damage to all players within 10 yards, equal to the amount of health that is missing from the player with Time Bomb.
Poor blind fools!
I'm curious if this actually could kill me. So let's sit here and see. So that's Frost Bomb. It puts the area under us. That little frost, that does damage. And slows our movement speed.
Find shelter.
Just a small taste of the Spellweaver's power!
Okay, it doesn't kill me. But yeah, basically, you had to get around the pillar, block LOS in order to avoid it, because otherwise it would have killed you.
Simpleton!
The greatest challenge lies ahead. Lay
Cannot
Guardian Aragos.
comprehend the forces you have set in motion. The ley line conduit will not be disrupted. Your defeat shall be absolute.
So, your greatest challenge lies ahead. Aragos is a blue dragon of immense power. You'll find him flying above the uppermost ring. The full power of your drakes has been unlocked. Use their power to defeat Aragos. The time has come to face Aragos. He draws strength from the energies he is charged with defending, sipping from the well of the great aspect Malagos. However, defeating the Mage Lord has allowed us to unlock the full power of our drakes. Use them wisely, and Aragos shall surely fall. So, of course, you still have an opportunity to go switch your Drake if you don't want. But now, the green Drake gets Dream Funnel. Transfers 5% of the caster's max health to a friendly Drake every second for 10 seconds as long as the caster channels. Now that I'm at my full power, I can perform Dream Funnel. You can use it to heal the other Drakes, but it does drain my health, so make sure you're using Leeching Poison too. So I imagine that this is the Drake that the healer would use in the fight. Now, it's also worth noting you don't have to use. You could actually just be here on this platform. But it was kind of recommended to go ahead and do that. So, this is Aragos. Even heroes will tremble before Aragos.
You brash interlopers are out of your element. I will ground you.
Protector of the Oculus, defender of the leyline conduit, and executioner of interlopers, he will accomplish these tasks with the conviction of prophecy, securing the Spellweaver's utter dominion over all things arcane. So he'll summon a Greater Ley Whelp. He'll have an Enraged Assault, which will increase his damage and casting speed. He's got Arcane Volley and Arcane Barrage. So yeah, he's summoning whelps.
Such arrogance must be punished.
So yeah, you can see he's basically getting bigger. Remember what I said about how they liked to do these enrage mechanics? You can even see, even my Drake right now is taking a lot of damage.
You and your dragon allies have won this battle. But we will win the Nexus War.
can already feel their defenses weakening. Not since the onset of this conflict have we dealt a blow of this magnitude to the Lord of Magic. Do not forget to visit Aragos' cache. Surely some of his treasures will interest you. And with that, we have now opened, or rather, we have gained access to the doorway to Malagos. Now, while I continue to search up that voice actor's name, let me tell you about what you then do after this. So I mentioned how we get access to the door to get to where Malagos is hiding. But we don't have a key to get inside. So only blue dragons have the key to that area. Powerful blue dragons. And at this point in time, basically the only one around is Malagos. All the other blue dragons were basically serving him, with a couple of exceptions, like, of course, our boy Kalik. And, of course, Sindragosa was undead, serving the Lich King. So we didn't really have any blue dragon allies to turn to. And none of the other dragonflights had keys to this area, not Alex Strauss or anyone else. However, it turns out there is one blue dragon in Northrend that has a key that is not working for Malagos. Sapphiron. Sapphiron, the undead dragon from Noxramas that we encounter in Noxramas. This is one of the reasons why they brought back Noxramas for Wrath and why they tried to incorporate it into the story. The idea was like, okay, in order for us to now get the key, what we now need to do is go to Noxramas, take down Sapphiron, we get his key that he still has on him, then
Fatality!
We go to Dragonblight and we turn it in to Alexstrasza, and she and her consort basically then help empower it and give us what we need to then go into the Eye of Eternity and take on Malagos. And that's basically how that works. Like how that whole story thing went, so. Hold on just a second. I'm still trying to give a shout out to this voice actor. Although I don't know why I'm in combat. What is actually in combat with me? Oh! JB Blank. Or Blanc. Depending on how you want to pronounce that. So, yeah, he has voiced Mage Lord Uram, Ignis the Furnace Master in Ulduar. In Kata, he voiced Assad and High Priest Venoxus. In Pandaria, he was the Watchman, Rico, Katak the Defeated, Durand, and Manchu. In Warlords, he was Thruk, or Thruk, Grokluk, Imperator Margok, and Thogar. In Legion, he was Boros, Dargrul, he's Hemet Nessingwary, Rangenwald Drakeborn, and in BFA, it actually doesn't list it, but I'm telling you, he was the pirate captain Raoul in Freehold, and he was also the guy in Shrine of the Storm, one of those of the Tides Age Council. Like I've heard his voice constantly throughout WoW. So JB Blank, he's been a longtime voice actor in WoW. Shout outs to him. I think he does a great job. So anyways, that is the Oculus, a dungeon that a lot of people didn't like just because they didn't like the vehicle gameplay of it. Having to use the drakes and learn how to do it and figure it out, because apparently it's too much of a hassle for them. I don't know why my goblin is stuck in combat here. Apparently there's a whelp down there that is still attacking me. Alright. So, when we come back, we will be heading away from the Borean Tundra. And we will instead of being up high in the sky here in the Borean Tundra, we will be delving underground to see a lost, forgotten kingdom, a familiar face, and what could have been when we delve into Ajol Narub. Stay tuned.